Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 14th of December, comes to you from London. We start by looking at currencies, then stock markets, commodities, and last of all, some stocks. And interestingly, today is the big day with the Federal Reserve. The market's already pricing in an interest rate rise. So we'll start by looking at currencies and see how that reflects. This is the weekly, my long-term charts, the daily, my medium-term charts, and my 60-minute chart. So we start by looking at the dollar index. We see here at the moment just this uncertainty that we've had this big rise after the election, sideways move. That's showing up here on the charts as well, just in this sort of 101 area. And at the moment we are bullish above the cloud. We have these medium and long-term upside targets, and the short-term one of 104. But really, it's once we break to new highs, and we will get a new target off this one as well once we're activated. So dollar looking bullish. Watch for some volatility around the rate announcement. If we look at the euro, we see here on the euro that we are really testing this 106 level, this support level, and we do have quite a lot of downside targets. So at the moment, the euro does have upside potential to 108 and downside potential to 101. There's two targets there. That's a cluster. It's really looking quite likely now that we're going to see parity with the euro soon. Look at the Japanese yen. We are still below the cloud here in terms of long-term yen strength, but the dollar is now rising and breaking through. That trend continues. We are just sideways on the short-term chart, but again, we do have quite strong upside targets. 121, that's 5% upside. So dollar strength is really the name of the game. We look at the sterling. Sterling is just strengthening a little bit, just starting to make a recovery, just nudging through the cloud here. The lagging line not yet through. Still very bearish in the long run, but short term we do have some some positive moves. We are finding support here as well, but we do have this downside target of 122 still hanging over us, 3% downside. So we need to just watch for that. Euro sterling. Sterling has the upper hand at the moment, just making that 120 level through the cloud. So that recovery, that's more a reflection of euro weakness than sterling strength, really. If we look at sterling against the Swiss, we see it strengthening here as well, and against the Aussie, again just starting to strengthen here too. Taking a look at stock markets, the S&P 500 had another strong evening overnight. We see here it really just is continuing to run. That 2263 target now just gone. As soon as we broke that 2200 level as predicted, the market just started to run. We do have actually a target of 2,341, and that's another 3% upside. That target was given in June. So it's amazing how these targets do just hang over us. And we've got these medium-term targets and then the short-term targets as well. Taking a look at the Nasdaq. That broke out yesterday, so that is really the big story here. Nasdaq has broken out, and tech now starts to look very good. We've only got one day. We'd like to see a few days to really be sure of the breakout, but everything suggests that we're now going to run in tech, and we see the short-term chart showing that 5,131, 5,100. So that's about 3 to 4% upside, and we're going to see that just playing through as well. Taking a look at FTSE, we see here the UK market looking strong as well, in line with all stock markets now. Really, now the US is really breaking and running. We're seeing that strength creeping into European markets. So strong on all time frames. We've got these upside targets. No clear short-term upside targets like we're seeing on the Nasdaq, but we are just seeing that we're probably going to get back through this 7,000 level, and that's now becoming pretty psychologically important for FTSE to get above there and stay above there. So looking better there as well. FTSE 250 down slightly, but it's a little bit worrying on the medium term. It's just not managing to run, and we are just seeing that sort of turning in the short-term chart. So it's still the blue chips looking better. If we take a look at the German DAX, of course, last week was the week we jumped, and it's no surprise that we probably did just slowing down a little bit. We do have upside targets to 3.5% upside, so we are seeing potential here, but all these charts turning very bullish. And the Nikkei, again, just continuing to run on that weak yen, just starting to get through the cloud on the lagging line now. So on the long-term chart, so Asia, the Japanese market especially looking very good. China is struggling; it's below the cloud, so the Chinese market is still bearish in the long run and bearish in the short term. Medium term is still okay. And the Hang Seng, much the same picture, although bearish on all time frames. So the Chinese stocks just not looking as bullish as Tokyo or the Western markets. And we're seeing here on the Indian market, we do have some short-term bullishness above the cloud here, but the medium term is bearish as well. Australian market up fairly strongly, 0.75% last night, turning very clearly bullish now in the long term, the medium term, and the short term. Upside targets of 5 and 7%, so looking like a good start to the year for Australia. Looking at commodities now, Brent crude through on the weekly, so that's looking bullish. On the short-term chart, we are just pulling back now. We've got downside targets to 54.77, 54.07. We're at 55 at the moment, so there's a 1 or 2% downside there, and we are just creeping through in the cloud. There's no big surprise after this big move off that OPEC announcement that we are just seeing a little bit of a sell-off, and the same is true of WTI. We're not quite through yet on the cloud, but we do again have these downside targets to around $52. Taking a look at US Nat Gas, just selling off at the moment. And we do have some downside targets there playing through at the moment, so that is quite key as well. Taking a look at gold, gold is up just slightly this morning, but it's not really showing any great signs of moving off the bottom yet. We need to really break through this 1165 to make a higher high to be convincing. Not a lot of work for it to do, but just struggling to do it. And again, that would activate this upside target to 1185. A lot of resistance. These tram lines, these are all off different highs on the chart. A lot of resistance on gold. And we're continuing to fall. We need to see a reversal on this 0.5% column to be convinced. And we are just here testing support on the cloud. Will we have the sort of run that we normally get in the new year? That's the big thing. Is gold close to finding a bottom? We take a look at silver. Silver is looking a little bit better up through the cloud here and building a bit of a base and finding support on the long term. So maybe we will see that on silver. Taking a look at copper. We're still bearish below the cloud here in the short term, but an amazing run in the last couple of months. It's no great surprise that we are seeing a sell-off. Going straight to US Treasuries yields, this is the 10-year bond. Really all waiting for this announcement from the Fed today. Sitting at around 2.45, this 2.5 level, but we clearly have broken through the long term. The medium term is looking bullish, and the short term is just holding on to that bullishness. If we go to new highs today, that's giving us levels at 274. That's another 12% upside on the yield. So if we do see new highs on that announcement, then we'll go higher still. Looking at tech, all looking better as a result of last night's move in the Nasdaq. Bullish on Apple, upside of 3.5%. Google, we don't have any short-term upside targets, but the medium term is looking pretty good. Amazon through the cloud as well. This will give us a thrust target once we activate that column. So we are just starting to see more and more short-term targets. Facebook 128 is the target. That's 7% upside. We're seeing that now. Microsoft really starting to move 5.5% upside. So we're seeing across the board tech now starting to looking much better. That's it for today. Watch out for these Fed announcement today and just the volatility in markets. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.